Hey all, this is Brian from Vapes by Nushi. I just wanted to create this video to show how to set up the Alt 2.5 bottom feed squonk mod by BoostLab. It does use a slightly different connection system, 510 connection system, than other bottom feed mods, and a few users aren't able to figure out how that works and are accidentally causing it to auto fire, and obviously we don't want it to auto fire. So when you get the package, it's not going to have this O-ring installed here. It does come in the parts and accessories package. There's 2 of these O-rings, so you want to take one of them and put it into the groove that's on this 510. That just helps it to give a better lock onto the atomizer and also prevent liquid from squeezing in and out past the landing pad. There's also 2 smaller O-rings that it comes with, and those O-rings go inside the 510 connection. So if you ever find you're getting a lot of leaking inside the device, it's possible that that O-ring inside there is worn down or possibly torn. It is silicone. They are fairly durable, but again, there's always the chance of it ripping or tearing for whatever reason it may be. So in that case, you can take apart the whole 510 atomizer. It is designed to be user serviceable, so you can take it apart and just replace that O-ring that's inside the pin there. So when you get the mod, taking a look inside, you're gonna have the 8.5mm BFX bottle by Sunbox. And then you're also going to see that the sub-ohm block is installed already with the mod. In previous versions, the batch 1, it didn't come with the sub-ohm kit, and the batch 2 didn't come with it either, and they were having arcing issues, where if your build was anywhere lower than 0.8 ohms, you're going to see a huge arc between the trigger bar and the stainless steel 510 pin. So the sub-ohm kit was created, which was basically a modified trigger bar where it has this bend here, but it also has this sub-ohm block. It's a brass block that connects directly to the stainless steel pin here. What was happening is transitional current arcing is what happens when you have 2 dissimilar materials passing electricity through, especially at high current. So in this case, we have a copper trigger bar, and then we have a stainless steel nipple. So when you had low resistance builds with a high current load, when you close your connection and made it come close, you would see a huge arc appear between the trigger bar, the copper trigger bar, and the stainless steel nipple. And as you do that, and as you cause arcing, it builds up carbon onto the 510 onto the stainless steel pin. And as more carbon builds up, more resistance is created, which means it'll reduce the strength of your hits, and your voltage drop actually goes higher and higher and higher. And as that happens, the arcing will actually get even worse and worse exponentially. So it's actually a degrading situation. You have to keep it clean all the time, and it became a real pain in the butt. So this sub-ohm kit was created so that when you have the brass connection connected directly with the stainless steel nipple, you won't have any arcing appearing between there, because it's always a solid contact between there. And when you have copper connecting to brass, because the materials are very similar, you don't get as much of an arc or any at all. But in doing so, a bit of care needs to be observed to make sure that you install this properly. So as you'll notice here, out of the box, not much of this stainless nipple is exposed here, so the hose for your bottle isn't going to be able to get much purchase on there. And if you try to install the hose just like that, and when you squonk, you may actually see a lot of leaking around there, so we want to avoid that as well. So proper setup is as follows. You want to take your atomizer. Sorry, let me show you one other thing. When you install your atomizer here, if you don't adjust for it properly, you're going to see the block come down as the atomizer is screwed down, and it could even go so far low down that the trigger bar doesn't make contact with it anymore. In this case, it's still making contact, but the bigger concern here is as you've noticed, the block's actually turned to the point where it's touching the trigger bar. If you have a battery in here, you're actually going to notice that it would have started auto firing the moment it made contact, and obviously we don't want that to happen. So to set it up properly, we want to first remove your atomizer, and you also want to get your battery out of there. You don't want your battery in the device in any mechanical mod at any time whenever you're doing any kind of connection work like this. And then the next thing you're going to do is you're going to take a small screwdriver here. It's a number 1 Phillips. You're going to undo this set screw here. You're going to notice that the block can now slide up and down on the nipple. Let me just adjust focus here. Alright, so now that it's loose, you don't need to remove it. It can just stay floating like that. And your atomizer, you're going to attach it on now. And again, you're going to see that pin going down with the atomizer. It is a spring-loaded 510 pin. And you're going to screw down almost completely as tight as you want. You might want to come back a little bit, and I'll explain why later. And then you're going to push this block up all the way to the peak isolator, right, as high as it'll go. And then you're going to press the fire switch so that it completely squares up against the block. And in doing so, you're going to get a fully flat and complete contact with the block. With more surface area, that way you're going to get a better connection. It'll hit harder and you'll get less of a voltage drop. And then you're going to tighten this screw, this set screw here, just snug it up. You don't want to power crank it on there, because if you screw it too tight, you could accidentally strip the fine threads of the sub-ohm block, and because being brass, it is soft as well. And the other reason why you don't want to tighten it too much is you don't want to crush that your feeder pin. So now you'll see it's nice and snug there, and if you unscrew your atomizer, it could potentially turn still. So whenever you're removing or attaching your atomizer again, you could always push the fire switch before you unscrew or screw the atomizer back on. And again, you want to do that with the battery out, right? So the reason why I said not to attach the not to secure the block when your atomizer is screwed completely tight is because if once you've done this, as you screw it up and down, you'll notice that it starts to make contact really close to the bottom, and then you'll have a little bit of give left to tighten up, right? And then that's making solid contact. But if you make it snug when it's tightened all the way, if for whatever reason you don't screw down your atomizer completely, say maybe it's back a tiny smidgen of a turn, it could actually lose contact. So by having the block secured a little bit lower, it does give the pin a little bit of freedom to move up and down to make proper connection with your atomizer, right? And that's pretty much it for the setup. So as long as you remember to make this adjustment every time you use a different atomizer, because different atomizers do have different pin heights, then you'll be sure to always have good connection, and that you always avoid any auto firing issues. And you're also going to make sure you have the proper length on the nipple here, so that your hose can get the proper attachment length on it. All right, that should be it. If you have any questions, you can always leave comments below. You can always contact us directly through our website or email. You can always call us as well. Again, this is Brian from Vapes by Nushi. Thanks for watching this video, and hope to see you guys soon. Bye.